Hey guys, it's your boy Joe back at it again, CodingPhase.com. In this video, we are going to be building a very cool animation for a loading screen. Okay, so stay tuned. Let's get started. All right. Hey guys, now we're gonna start with this tutorial. All right. Now I want to make this clear, guys. I got this idea from another pen that I saw on codepen.io. All right, and what's funny is that that person also got their idea from another pen that they saw on codepen.io. I mean, this is why CodePen is so cool, because you can actually go in there and look at what other people are creating and learn from them, and then from there you could actually go in and implement those skills that you picked up and put it in on your own way of how you do things. All right, so anyways, man, let's get started. All you guys have to do is literally go to codepen.io, right? So go to codepen.io. Okay, oh my god, CodePen, you need to step it up. All right, so just refresh. Okay, it's probably because so many people is going to that page, but click on a pen. If you don't have an account, create an account. All right, this is going to be very simple. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to start using Pug. Okay, so if you guys don't know what Pug is a HTML preprocessor. It just helps you write HTML more fun, right? It just makes it more fun for you. Okay, so just come here, choose Pug. All right, save and close. Okay, give this a second. There you go. And then from there, we're gonna click here on the CSS settings, and we're gonna choose SCSS, which is SAS mixed with a little bit of CSS, right? Okay, so save and close. All right, and there we go. I'm gonna call this. All right, let me see if I could rename this. Give me a second. Okay, I'm gonna rename this 3D loading screen tutorial. Okay, just in case you guys want to find the code later on. I'm also going to put in the links below just in case. All right, so anyway, so let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to create some variables within our Pug file. Okay, so this is why Pug is so popular, because you can actually pretty much use like JavaScript within your HTML. It just makes your life easier. Okay, so let's say const, and let's come in and say let's say line 1, okay, equals 2, and in here we're gonna say loading. Okay, just like JavaScript, put some semicolons. Then in here we're gonna do dash const and say line 2 equals 2. Oops, content. Okay, just like that. And to make your life easier, I will say try to keep the same amount of words inside of the different lines, right? Just to make your life easier. Okay, if not, you're gonna have to add some extra spaces if you want it to look good. Okay, so we're gonna come here, create a loading container. Okay, and every time we do this, what this is doing is just basically adding a div with a class of loading container, right? So if you click here and you want to check this out, and I'm doing this just this one time for those of you guys that have never used Pug, okay? If you click here, you will see the actual compiled HTML. So as you can see, it says div class loading container, all right? That's pretty much it. That's all we did. All right, so then let me go back, view on compile Pug. Okay, now within here we're gonna press tab and we're gonna put in scene. This is going to create a div with the class of scene inside of the loading container, and then inside of scene we're gonna create another div called word. Now in here we're gonna do a for of, so we're gonna start with dash for const, and then say index letter of line 1, and then from here we're gonna say dot split, and then we're gonna say passing an empty string, and then entries, and then we're gonna close this. All right, Now, the next thing we're going to do here, just to test this out, we're going to say h1 test. Save that. And as you can see, it just basically goes in and creates a different h1, or basically just the same h1 for each letter in line 1. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now that we understand how this works, we're gonna come here and we're gonna say dot letter and say underscore underscore wrap, and then in here we're going to put in something like this and say the actual index. So we're gonna say style and say equals to, then pass in template literal, right? Use the tilde there, the little tick, and then say dash dash index, right? And then we're going to say $, curly brackets. Remember guys, this is just JavaScript. Index, and then close it off, and then close off the parentheses. All right, now inside of here we're going to create another div called letter, and then in here we're going to say data dash letter equals to letter. All right, now inside of here we're gonna create all of the panels for our 3D cubes. So we're gonna say span dot letter underscore underscore panel, then equals to the letter, all right, which is this one. And then from there we're gonna come here and say span dot letter underscore underscore panel equals to line 2. All right, line 2, and then we're passing in the index so we could get the letter of line 2. So as you can see, this is what we have so far. So let's copy this, okay, and let's paste that in. All right, so then now, as you can see, we have LCL, LC, right, just like that, the OOO, ANA, okay, etc. Right, so it's pretty much showing all of the letters one by one, right? So then now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna say span dot letter underscore underscore panel, all right, and then we're pretty much done as far as the HTML. Okay, and if we click here to view the compiled HTML, you can see what we did right here. All right, let me see if I could zoom in. I know you guys probably killing me right now. Sorry guys, I didn't have this zoomed in for you guys, but pretty much this is what we have, right? So this is how it's looking like. We got a div loading container. Inside of that we got the scene. Then from there we got the word. Then from there we got this wraparound div, which pretty much is going to be a representation for each box, right? And then from there we have for each letter, right, we have different div for it, right? And we have it for both words. We have for the loading and for the content, and it's doing pretty much the same thing, right? So if we was to write this with HTML, you will see that we will have to write a whole bunch of freaking lines of code. But because we're using Pug, you know, it's simple. Look how easy this is. All right. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to start with CSS. And what's cool about this is that we won't even need JavaScript for this, guys. This is pretty dope, man. All right. So let's start with this and let's target everything. I'm going to say box sizing equals to border box. All right, then we're gonna say transition all 0.2 seconds ease, and then that's it. Okay, just like that. Now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna create some variables, and we're gonna use what's already there with CSS. We're not even gonna use the SAS variables. We're gonna use what's already there for CSS. So we're gonna say root, and this is for you guys to get used to this too, because I know some of you guys haven't used SAS or might not be an expert with SAS, so we gonna try to keep as much of CSS as possible to make it easy for you guys to understand what's happening, right? So let's continue. Let's say root, and then open up the brackets, okay, and then in here we're gonna say movement, and say dash movement, which is a variable. I'm gonna say 0.85, okay, then we're gonna say like this, stop 0.5, then duration, and then in here we're gonna say calculate this, and then in here we're gonna pass in var, and then like this we're gonna say dash movement to bring in that movement variable, and then we're gonna multiply this by 1 divided by var dash stop. Okay, just like this. So let me make sure. Okay, there we go. All right, then from there we're gonna have a stagger, and in here we're gonna say 11 to 5. Then we're gonna have perspective, which is going to be at 500. Then we're gonna have size, which is gonna be at 50. Then we're gonna have ease, which is gonna be a cubic Bezier. So this is what's gonna help us with our animation and pretty much control the speed of our animation and how we want it to run. Okay, so 0.52. Let's say I like to do it like this better. Negative 0.52, 0.26, 0.89. Okay, close that up. Okay, next thing that we got is the background. We're gonna say yellow. Then we're gonna say panel and make this to be white. So this is the color of the panel itself, where the letters are gonna be. So pretty much the background of each side. So then from there we're gonna say color, and we're gonna say 1B, 1B, 1B. All right, so let me see, do I have it right? Okay, 1B, 1B, delete this one. All right, cool. Then the next one we have is border color. And in here we're gonna say 3861 EB, which is blue. Now for this example, we're gonna basically add a couple of styles to the body tag just to make sure that everything is aligned, centered, and it could look nice on CodePen. So we're gonna say body, right? Align items, center, and then we're gonna say background, var, background. So we're using the variable of the background. Okay, and then we're gonna say display flex, justify content. Okay, center. So this is gonna center everything. Then from there we're gonna say minimum height 100 VH, and then overflow is going to be hidden. Okay, so we don't have no scroll bars. Now the next thing that we want to do is we want to target the loading container. Now the loading container, the reason why I added it is because some of you guys might want to add this to maybe your existing application, and by copying everything that's inside of the loading container, you're gonna be fine. All right, so you don't even have to worry about if things is going to be centered, is it going to be looking good. Okay, all you have to do is change all of your settings here on the loading container. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Okay, but basically I'm going to start you off with this one. Loading container, height 600 pixels. Okay, width 500 pixels. Background, we're gonna make it transparent. Okay, display, we're gonna say flex. Let's say align items, center, justify content, center, and this is gonna make sure that our 3D loading screen is actually centered right in the middle of whatever application we might be adding this to. Okay, transform, scale, and I'm gonna say for now scale 1. Okay, from here you could change this, the scale of this, and basically change the size to fit whatever size you might want to fit it to. All right, so I'm gonna save this, and then from there I'm gonna scroll down and we're gonna say scene. Okay, and this is where we start using perspective. This is to make sure that everything is in the 3D platform, right? The 3D plane. So we're gonna say perspective, calculate, right? So calc. And then we're gonna pass in the variable of perspective, and then we're gonna say multiply that by 1 pixel. All right, now you can do it like this, multiply it by 1 pixel, but that's because we have perspective 500 right here. All right, you guys could just put, you know, straight up 500. It's gonna give you the same thing, 500 px, right? But it's the same thing. Now the next thing that we have here is we're gonna target the word, and we're gonna say display. Okay, we're gonna say display flex, transform, translate. Okay, and we're gonna say calc. All right, so we want to calculate this. I'm gonna say variable size times 0.7 pixels, and then from here we're gonna pass in the 0. Then we're gonna say rotate x minus 30 degrees. Okay, and then we're gonna say rotate y 45 degrees. And we're gonna say transform style preserve 3D. Okay, so let's see what we got so far. Okay, so as you can see, we just made all of our letters to be in this angle. All right, that's pretty much it. That's all we really did. All right, and we set up the perspective, which puts everything on the 3D plane, and that's pretty much it for now. All right, so let's continue to the next thing. Okay, which is right here where we actually start creating the boxes. So we're gonna say letter underscore wrap animation jump calc var dash duration, and then in here we're gonna say 1 second. All right, and then we're gonna put a space. We're gonna say calculate this, and we're gonna pass in the variable of stagger, and then we're gonna pass in 0. Then we're gonna say var, right? We're passing in the variable of index. Now this index is coming in, remember, from this, so we're getting that variable actually in here. Then in here, we're gonna pass in 0. Now, one last thing that we are missing is, I missed the parentheses here. So we got calc, right? Then we have parentheses, then var stagger times variable of index. Okay. And then in here, we're gonna say times 1 second. And then close the parentheses. So that closes the calculation. Then we say var dash dash ease. And then we're going to say infinite. Okay. So right now we haven't created this animation, right? And we're going to add it right now so you guys can see it. But we basically added this animation to the letter wrap. Okay. So the container of the boxes. So let me just create the animation right now just so we can see a little something, because you actually do need this. All right, so I'm just gonna copy and paste this to make life easier. All right, and I'm gonna paste this in like this. So keyframes jump, which is the animation, and what we're doing is we're saying 0, 50, 100, right? And we're saying, hey, scale 1, scale Y, translate 0, 0, right? So this is going to basically help us have that little jump effect for this boxes. So let's see right now. So as you can see, this is the animation. That's all it's doing, right? So depending on the duration, right, and depending on the index of it, this is how it's going to calculate, you know, which one goes first and then which one comes next, right? Just like that. Right? That's why we have that. Now the next thing that we want to do, right, we have the letter wrap. So let's continue. And just to not make this too long, this whole tutorial, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna actually just start copying and pasting some of this, because I don't want this tutorial to be, you know, 2 hours long, especially because there's a lot of a lot of words and letters that we got to type. So inside of this letter wrap, we want to target each letter. Okay, so in here we're gonna rotate each letter. Okay, so to do this, we're gonna come in and we're gonna create another animation. Now this animation, we're calling it rotate. So I'm gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it right above the keyframes jump. Okay, so then now we have this, we got keyframes rotate, and what this is going to do at 0% starts at 0 all the way to 30%, and then it rotates to 0 degrees. From 33 to 81% is going to rotate to 90 degrees. Then from there, from 83 to 100% is going to rotate to 180 degrees. All right. So this is what's going to do the effect of the boxes actually rotating. Currently right now, you can't really see the whole thing, but once we start adding the CSS for the panels, then everything's going to start making more sense. All right. Now, the next thing that we want to do is, once we do this, right, we're going to come in and we're going to target the letters again. Okay. So we're going to copy this, and right above rotate, I'm going to paste this code. Okay. So in here we have the letter, right? So in here we have the letter, and we're targeting each letter, and we're saying, hey, we're going to have the color to be the color variable. We're using font family, the Apple system, or, you know, pretty much sans serif fonts. Then from there, we're saying font size is 2 rem, font weight is going to be bold, height is going to be the calculation between the variable size, right, times 1%, or sorry, 1 pixel. Then from there, we have margin right, calculating the variable size times 0.2 pixels, right? So this is just the space in between each box. And then from there we have position relative, and then we're saying text transform uppercase, so to make them all uppercase. Then from there we have transform style preserve 3D, and this is just to make sure that it stays in that 3D plane. And then from there we have width, calculate variable size times 1%. or I don't know why I keep saying percent, 1 pixel. So remember the size is up here. Okay, so size is 50, so that's 50 pixels. That's the size of each box. That's pretty much it. That's all it's saying. So then now the next thing that we want to do is we want to target the panels. Now this is where we're going to be able to see this 3D panels. Now this is where there's a lot of basically a lot of coding here, but we're going to go through it together and we're going to break it down. All right, so first of all we start with this, which is the letter panel, right? So remember we created some spans and each one of them have a letter panel class on it. All right, so this is what we're targeting, and we're saying align item centered, background variable. We're using the variable of panel, which is this one right here, which is the color. Okay, so that's just the background of it. Okay, let me continue. All right, so then from there we have the border 5 pixel solid, which is the border color variable, which is the color of blue. Then from there we say display webkick box, and in reality you don't need this because that's like for old code or old browsers, but with this display flex you should be fine. Then from there you have height, and then we say calculate variable size times 1 pixel, which is pretty much 50, right? Then from there we have justify content center to make it center, left 50%, position absolute, right? And then we're saying top 50%, and then we say width, calculate the variable size times 50, so the width is going to be 50. All right, and then from there now we're targeting each side of this. Now before we move on, I actually missed one line that we need to add, so we have to go to the letter wrap. Okay, let me see, where is it? And right below this animation we gotta add 2 more properties, which is transform origin, and we're gonna say bottom center, and then from there we're gonna say transform style preserve 3D. Okay, there we go. So then now if we look, we actually have the cubes spinning. Okay, but just to show you guys how this thing is working and how we can actually debug it, let's just break it down like this. I'm gonna go scroll down back to where we was at, right, which is this area, and I'm gonna just comment everything out from here down. So press command / okay, and that's gonna comment everything out. So as you can see, we have env type 1, okay, which is the first panel, and then from there we are actually placing it in the 3D space. So if we look in here, we see that it starts here, right in front of us, and then from there it just goes and rotates around, okay, just like that, and then comes back around to the same spot. Okay, so we go in, we uncomment that one, which is the second one, and then we can see how this is working. Let me see if I could change the settings of this and see if we could change the way how this thing is looking. Change view, put it like this better. Okay, cool. So as you can see, each one of these is 1 letter, and then instead of going like fully around like a full 360, it just, once it gets here, it just flips real quick. You could barely see it. All right, and it's gonna look as if everything is doing a 360 when it's not. All right, but if we come here, we uncomment this, we can continue debugging this so you can see how each side affects it. All right, so as you can see, we got to start with the L, which is the first one, the second one is the C, the third one is the L, and then it comes back around, right? As you can see, flips it and just flips real quick. Okay, And it looks like as if it's doing a full 360 when it's not. It's just going a few degrees around. Okay, once you add the other one, which is at the bottom, then from there you have that full motion where it looks like it's doing like a full 360. Now with the last one, which is going to be right here, this is the panel which is going to close this, and it's going to give us that look of like, oh wow, we have a 3D cube, right? But as you guys can see, we're missing sides. We're missing one side on over here on the other side, right? So it's not a full cube, but it gives us the illusion that it is, right? Now if we come in and we wanted to continue testing this out and just to play around with it, you can come here and change the perspective. So for those of you guys that are new to working with 3D, perspective is pretty much the location of what you're seeing. Like we could come here and say, okay, this is the perspective. It starts at 1 pixel, right? Or at 1. If I come in here and I say, let's put this at perspective of, let's say 20. Okay, the perspective changes. You could come in here, continue testing this out, you know, going 50 by 50, as you can see, right? So you can start seeing that the perspective starts going that way, right? And then we continue changing it, go to 100. Okay, sorry, 100 right here. Okay, so you see we start changing the perspective. Then we say 150. Okay, let's just change to 250, make it a little bit more dramatic. Then we could say 350, see how that affects it. Okay, we start getting farther and farther away from it. Okay, that's 450, and this is where we have it at 500. Okay, so there we go, guys. We pretty much have our 3D loading cubes. Hope you guys like this tutorial. Now before we leave, I want to mention again that you guys can definitely use this within any of your applications. You know why? Because you have this loading container. This right here is going to help everything stay in the same spot, same place, and same size that you want it. Okay, so I could come here, let's say for example, I could say I want to scale this to, let's say 0.5, right? Let's say I was doing this for a mobile app, right? I could do this to scale at 0.5, or I could even say, you know what, let's try this out and scale it to 3, make it huge, in case you needed to do something where it's like, you know, Ultra HD and you need a bigger size screen, right? So this is actually pretty cool. You could just control it from here. Now my advice is play around with this, right? Go ahead, play around with this. Try adding another box to this, right? Another panel. Remember that other panel that's on the other side that we're missing, right? Remember, if we come here and we remove this panel, we can see right through the boxes, right? How about you guys put a panel over here on the last side of the cube, right? Try doing that, because like that you will actually practice and see if you actually understand how to do this yourself. Just play around with it, man. Anyways, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Please leave some love, leave a like, leave a comment, leave something, right? Show that you watched this, show that you was here. All right, I definitely would like to see what you guys have. And like I said, if you guys want me to do this type of videos, I will continue doing this type of videos. I'm gonna be doing a whole bunch of tutorials in this channel, so definitely stick around. Shout out to the person who inspired me to create this whole tutorial for you guys. Definitely go check him out on CodePen. I'm gonna leave the links below on the description. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.